This should be interesting. Everyone seems excited to be here.
Mm.
Let's do it. Is somebody hammering something in the background? Is somebody?
Yeah, my it's
All right. Boom shakalaka.
Top of the world. Top of the world. Yeah, top of the world. Top of the world. Yeah, top of the world. Top of the world. Yeah, top of the world. Top of the world. Yeah, top of the world.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Worst Ones Podcast. This is the podcast and the place for us preacher's kids to come and be the absolute worst. My name is Rudy Wilson. I am a preacher's kid. Terry Weeze is in the building. He's a preacher's kid. Kellie Leezy is in the building-ish. She's a preacher's kid. And our residential honor roll student, Jay Rihanna, in the building. And she is a preacher's kid. Terry Wayne.
yes.
How's it going, man? How was your birthday? How's the job going?
Yes, happy belated.
Oh yeah. It was good. It was good. What did I do? I didn't really do much of anything. I was off, so I was happy about that. And I was off the day after, which was even better.
I see you have on your good shirt today too, Terry.
Good shirt? No, this is my hanging around the house shirt. You don't even know my good shirts.
Your good shirt and you're freshly shaved.
Yeah, I don't want to wear because I had the beard and I don't want to wear a beard net. You know, it's just not a good look. So so I took it off. I'm still gonna get I'm gonna grow back like a half an inch, you know, because you don't have to wear one for that. But no, just working at the new job. Birthday, my wife did some stuff for me, which was nice. She drove like 25 minutes each way to get me my favorite pizza. So that was nice.
There you go.
Yeah. Little things. Yeah, for real. And let's see here. No, just pretty much working the new job. I did almost 70 hours in the first 6 days. So
Oh wow.
it's a bit exhausting, to be honest. I bet mainly because it's like so far away. It's like 45 minutes away, but it's not going to stay that way, thankfully. But yeah, some of these shifts start at like 5 a.m. So got to wake up at like 3:45, get dressed, and be on the road by 4:15. Lots of changes, but you got to do it.
And you said it's not going to stay that way, meaning working that many hours or driving that far?
Either. The normal schedule should be 50 hours a week, and
50.
so yeah, that's 5 10-hour shifts.
And you moving to a closer one?
Yeah. Hopefully I'll be moving to one that's like 10 minutes down the street. That's the hope, but still don't know. So, but yeah, I don't know who said 50. I think that was Kellie.
That was me.
That was you, Janessa. In the restaurant industry, a 10-hour shift is considered normal for salaried managers. So
Learn something new.
Yep, it's not something new. So everybody, remember that when you're dealing with people in restaurants or fast food for that matter, if you said, let me talk to the manager, that manager might be on his 49th hour that week. So just take that into consequence with no overtime. So.
Gotcha. But you're enjoying the job, though?
No, I've always enjoyed being in a kitchen, running things. Cooking. It's not necessarily cooking, but you still get to interact, still get to feed people. So.
Are you able to adjust the recipes any, or do you have to keep them as is?
No, I mean they want consistency, obviously, but you do get a little bit of leeway. I wouldn't be able to do all the things I wanted to do, but that's the name of the game. So not really as concerned about that so much. So
Terry, have you guys done a gender reveal yet?
no, we have not. We don't even know the gender yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But we will when we find out. It'll be probably on my Instagram, I would imagine.
Gotcha. That's what's up, man. Well, I'm glad things are going good for you. Glad you enjoyed your birthday pizza.
I did. I know it's a little thing, but it makes me so happy.
No, that's a pretty big deal, man.
Well, around here it is. When you got to drive 25 minutes to get quality pizza, that's a big deal. So.
What you say,
I
Kellie?
learned that men don't really require much for their birthdays. Is that true?
I can't speak for men. I personally don't care about my birthday like that, but
If it's your husband's birthday, get him his favorite food, give him a mouth hug, and leave him alone and let him do what he wants. That's the deal. That's the nicest way I can say it. But yeah.
Kellie, Rudy don't even care about Jesus' birthday, so
That was a good one.
Well, he's definitely not getting him a present. We know that much for sure.
Correction, I only care about Jesus' birthday. I don't care about y'all getting something on Jesus' birthday. but that was a good joke, so I didn't want to step on it because it was funny.
And I'm not.
That was hilarious.
That's what's up, though, man. All right, Janessa, how are you? How are things with you?
You know, things are going pretty good. Not to be too churchy, but I've always heard like you're either about to go through something, you're going through something, or you just came out of something. And I definitely feel like I'm in that in between. So it's good to kind of get a break. Work hasn't been as stressful. I don't know if I told you guys, but I have a new hire that's starting April 16th. So finally have somebody replacing my old job. So, you know, like it's been a long time coming.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty good. I will say this past week, I have been preparing my house for the newest family member in my little family. I'm getting a cat on Friday. I'm adopting a cat.
Okay.
I'm really excited about it.
What a terrible idea.
He's a 1-year-old tabby. I'm going to name him Theodore Remington Rowland. And yes, very
white.
Distinguished.
Very white.
He's very distinguished.
Sure.
So, you know, I'm getting like pet carriers, and he got about 3 beds and cat towers and scratching posts and toys, and of course he got clothes. And
Jerry Giannis cat's gonna have a monocle.
Yes, he will probably.
May I have some kibble, man?
Yeah, he can. I mean, he's gonna be spoiled, so
Sure.
Bring it on. I did have to put all my plants in my office because most of them are toxic to cats. But I actually like it in here. I'll give y'all a little. Let me see if I can give you a little tour. But like I have my over here, my monsteras over here. I don't know if you can see all my other plants are over here.
Okay.
But yeah. And then of course, because my house was looking real empty once I moved everything into my office, I had to buy some cat-friendly plants. So I'm just excited. My family's excited. Of course, my sister now wants to get a puppy. And we've already been talking about how they'll be best friends. You know, clearly, I told her since we can't have kids together unless you plan to have another one, whenever I have one, our pets are going to have to be cousin besties.
Right.
So hopefully she'll get her dog soon. And, you know, we'll be fur aunties and mamas over here. So yeah, hopefully next week I'll be able to show y'all Theodore. He'll be able to sit up here and be a part of the podcast too.
Well, I have 2 of those things, and you're making a huge mistake, but that's fine.
Do cats age like dogs? Like, is a 1-year-old cat considered old, or is that young, or how does that work?
I don't really know, but when I was talking to the lady at the shelter, she was saying some cats live up to like 27, 30 years. So
Oh my God, are you kidding me?
I her cat, I was talking to my physical therapist, his cat's 16. So I don't know. I don't know.
Gotcha. That's good. You're gonna take this cat from a little rags to riches, little story. Yeah, that's what happened with Reese.
Speak of the devil. Speak of the devil, and he comes around. That's what's up.
Hi, Kitty. He knew what's up. That's gonna be Theodore's new cousin. What's your cat's name?
Boo.
Cousin Boo. Mm.
Yeah. He looks like a Halloween decoration.
He's a cutie.
Yeah.
Kelly, come on with the big hair today.
No, he's so got our big hair.
He's so clingy ever since I went back to work.
Yeah,
well, I want my cat to be clingy and cuddly. So
well, you can have this one if you want.
Everybody's trying to give me their dog, their cat, their rabbit, their ferret, whatever hamster.
I'll take somebody's dog and you take this cat and we'll make it even that way.
Dogs are too much work. You don't have to walk the cat. But I did get a harness and a leash just in case we want to go outside.
Your cat probably won't want to go outside. If you're going to do that, you got to do it early. I tried that with him early on. You could drag him and he's just going to claw at the ground and road runner style.
Well, I don't want him to be an outdoor cat. They're neighborhood cats. I'm a little scared he might they might influence him in a negative way. They might want him to join their cat gang in the streets.
The neighborhood cats are going to be a bad influence.
A bad influence that, the street cats, he's going to be an indoor bougie cat. And so the only way he can really go outside is if he's on the leash in the harness with me. So
street cats are people too.
Gotcha. Well, that's what's up. Congratulations on your new hire as well as your new child that you're bringing to the family. You
were saying that Reese's dog was a rags to riches dog.
Absolutely. Yeah. Reese's dog. She got it from she rescued her. I guess adopted her or whatever you call it. And that dog was definitely lived a rough life, but she done had the dog forever at this point, but yeah, Reese done put that dog through such a bougie life that you can't tell her shit no more. Like this dog if the dog don't want to eat certain food, it's not gonna eat. You gonna have to. Where's my surf and turf? Like you gonna have to.
What's Reese's dog name?
Lil Reese.
Lil Reese about to be. She got to meet her new guy cousin Theodore.
Lil Reese funny acting too.
Yeah, I'm saying she funny acting.
Acting with people, food, all of it. Funny acting.
This is the grossest conversation we've ever had.
Well, Kellie Lee.
The what conversation?
The grossest conversation.
No, I'm great. Actually, I today we put on a big community event. So you guys know I work in a school in a lower income area. And most times you try to get parents engagement to get them to come to the school, come to parent teacher night, come to the school plays, come to all of those things. But today we went out in the community and did like a community tour. So we went by 3 different apartment to like townhome communities that a lot of our students live in. And there's like a hotel block. And so we went over to the hotels. And passed out clothes and food and talked to the parents about how can we get you guys more engaged, or what do you feel like is impacting attendance and school performance for kids. And we had like coffee and donuts, and we only spent like 20 minutes each stop, but it went so well. One, I don't really like planning events because it stressed me out, and I've been planning it for about 3 weeks now. Gotcha. And I woke up at 6 o'clock this morning. I'm never up that morning early, just stressing and hoping that it goes on today. But I was on time, and I had to make an extra stop at another school before I even went to my school, and still made it on time.
With no McDonald's coffee?
No, with no McDonald's coffee. This was on my own adrenaline this morning. But it went really well. And so it was good, like I said, just to get out in the community. People who didn't even have kids at our school were just stopping by, like, what y'all doing? What y'all got going on? And
Right.
so it was good. So I'm super satisfied, super fulfilled. It was great. We got some curveballs thrown along the way, as things usually do when we pulled it out as a team today. So I'm just super happy, on cloud nine. And the community seemed to really appreciate it. So it was good.
Good.
It was good. It's good. So I'm doing good today. I'm
Good.
just
How are the children doing this week?
they hyped up.
You gotta still keep them on the prayer list.
Yeah, keep them on, because now, so spring break, it's coming next week. And so right before break, they get kind of amped up. The weather is good, so they getting kind of amped up. And then coming from spring break, they go into state testing. And so after state testing, which is usually like late April, then May, they like, I finished state testing. I don't have nothing else to do. So let me run wild.
Right.
Boo.
And so Buddha, what, state testing?
Yeah.
And so they're like, yeah, let me run wild. So continue to pray for them. The two babies that I talked about last week are still being them. So yeah.
Gotcha.
Kelly, do kids still take the IB? Was it
ITBS?
Georgia Milestones.
Oh,
So it's
right.
either. So it starts in third grade. You take an end of course, 3rd through 8th grade. Take an end of grade. So science, social studies, math, language arts, and then for high school is end of course. So certain courses have like a standardized assessment. Yeah, I don't think they do the Georgia high school graduation test anymore. I remember we had that. Everybody was scared. I remember getting them results. Now I ain't never had no issues because I could do my work. But I remember distinctly when people got them Georgia high school graduation tests and scared. I failed this. I'm not gonna be able to graduate. And there was something in them hallways. I remember that for sure. But yeah, now it's end of course tests that you got to take for certain courses: ELA, math, econ, those type of things.
And just so everybody knows why I said boo, it's because when they do this kind of testing and funding is on the line for each school, then every school just teaches to the test and the kids miss out on true education. But that's just my opinion. That's Florida. The FCATs is what we had. And, half the year, that's all we're learning is how to pass this test. So the school gets funded. It's wrong. It's wrong to take kids and put your budget on them. I don't know, but that's just me. Not a dad yet, but I've always been against the standardized testing, just because somebody who was always bright. I just figured out how to beat the test. That was it. When I did the FCATs, mine was the second highest in the school. My parents had to come and do a meeting with the administration, and words were used and that I didn't like. And I'm like, no, I just figured out your stupid test. That's all it was. By using things like process of elimination and, logical problem solving. I never learned any of that crap, but. Hey.
I never had to take the Georgia high school test, but I also went to private school. So I don't know if it's different.
I graduated at 14. You know how? Because I took an equivalency exam and I've always been good at tests. That's it. It's not because I deserved to graduate at 14. I just knew how to beat that test. So
I sucked at standardized tests though.
That was decent.
Yeah, some people hate them. Some people are just naturally good at them. But it's equally not fair and not good for children in either direction.
Well,
anyway,
I'll
get off my soapbox. I'm off it. I'm off of it.
Terry's list of things he doesn't respect. Now we have Joel Osteen, standardized tests.
Sure.
And our question for today is: do you respect CEOs? What is it? Christmas, Easter only attendees, people who only attend church. Christmas and Easter. You can throw Mother's Day in there as well. But I like CEO. So, how y'all feel about CEOs, man? I mean, these people definitely have existed, definitely my whole life. You know what I'm saying? and still are reigning supreme right now. What's your thought?
I'm gonna go first on this as the only CEO in the room.
There you go.
And when my mom was still with us, it definitely wasn't Mother's Day. You know, even when we were going to church, you know, even when we were still like really in the church, you know, church wouldn't. It wasn't the thing she was worried about on Mother's Day, you know. She was always more like, "Oh, you better take me to brunch." Like this is like I give God 364 days a year. This is the one day where it's, you know, my kids spoil me. So but yeah, I'm basically on a Christian or a Christmas and Easter type of thing. But I always felt weird about that just because like why do I have to go to church? I have my own pastor at my fingertips. It's a phone call away 24 hours a day, you know, guidance, wisdom, scripture, whatever, you know. So it's always felt different for me. You know, why would I go down to your building where you're going to ask me for money when I can call 1-800, you know, preacher dad and get whatever I needed, you know, at the moment. But I don't know.
So do you still go on Christmas and Easter now, or you don't go?
Yeah, mainly for my dad because he loves it. He loves when we all go to Easter, you know, together, and you know, and it's more for him than for the church. I can say that with all honesty. It's more for him than it is for the church. In my opinion, I gave the church enough over the years, you know, so. Maybe that's wrong to think that way, or maybe that's selfish, but that's just how I feel, you know. So when I go to church this Easter, I'll be going for my dad, you know.
And are you going with your dad or just for your dad?
I'm actually working, to be honest with you.
So you're not even going?
No, not even going.
But you wouldn't necessarily go with your dad Christmas or Easter, but you go for your dad.
No, I'd go with him. No, I'd go with him. If I wasn't working this Sunday, I would go with him. Okay. Because especially Easter, he's more about Easter than he is about Christmas. Because you know, he has a theology degree and like he studied this just as much as any. He always said he studied just as hard as an atheist because he wanted to be able to have intelligent conversations with people who were atheists or, you know, were averse to believing. So, you know, but with Easter, it's more symbolic to him. It's more symbolic of Christ's sacrifice and resurrection, you know, the hope of the resurrection. So Easter's his big holiday. So if I'm able to go, I absolutely will go. But when I can't, he understands.
So I've always known it as CME, Christmas, Mother's Day, and Easter. And to your point, Terry, I always thought that those were those days that your parents really wanted you to go. Those are the days that your mama told you to go, your daddy told you to go. Those are the days that I'm gonna force you to get up and go to Christmas service, whether it's on a Sunday or not, if your church is having it, or that Sunday before or after, to go Easter, and then Mother's Day. Because, and I can only speak from the Black church perspective, but you know, that's a time when Black mothers want the meal too, but they also want to go to church first. So those were the days that you better get up and go to church. Like, and so for those that, you know, at a certain age, I'm not going to force you anymore. You know, me, Rudy, and Janessa were blessed to have ministries that we enjoyed going to church. But for those where they were disengaged in church, I know a lot of people that those were the 3 days they continued to go. And like you said, even as adults, those are the days that in honor of their parents, in respect of their parents, for their parents, let me go these 3 days. I don't mind it, except y'all taking up all the seats. The parking lot is crazy. It takes me an hour or so to get out of the parking lot. Like I can't. And then y'all want to put on and see. And this is another reason why they like it. Again, I can only speak for the Black church perspective. because then they get to put on their Sunday's best.
10-piece.
So now,
10 pieces. 10 pieces.
Exactly. Because them Easter suits back in the day and them Easter dresses back in the day is what you had to do. And so now, where every other 49 Sundays in the year, most churches have gone to like a come as you are, you can go comfortable in your jeans or whatever. See, now I got to figure out on Easter, my Easter dress and my heels, because all y'all gonna come in there in your 10-piece suits. It's too much. It's too much. It's too much. I almost don't want to go to church Sunday because it's too much. And this is how much how big CME is, because especially Easter, as you said, Terry, because that's when pastors who don't typically do those non-traditional sermons want to do a non-traditional sermon. Now the mime team got a 20-minute performance mixed with the play and this and this and this. Usually he got a 45-minute sermon. This time we doing a whole deconstructed something different, because they know they gotta cater to them folks who don't go to church and not gonna sit here for no 30-45-minute 60-minute sermon.
Right.
Let me do something else. I feel like at this point you can go virtually, put your 10-piece suit on, and be at the house. Because you clogging up my parking lot, taking my seat, and I rarely get anywhere on time, first of all, so I don't really get to church on time. But now I really got to be in the overflow, in the second overflow, because you didn't show up. It's too. I'm serious, but I'm not serious. Because you done showed up just this day. To me, I love that you that you in church. I do. But can we do Palm Sunday instead? The pews were clear Sunday for Palm Sunday. They not there for that one.
Right.
But Easter, they gonna show up. Christmas, Thanksgiving Sunday, y'all went there giving thanks. But Christmas, after you open your gifts, then you in church. Right. The gifts that really ain't even about you. It's not even about you.
It ain't about you.
Father's Day, the pews are empty. Mother's Day,
yep.
Do this virtually at the house. Because for us who try to go 2 to 3 times a month, y'all taking up my seat in my spot. I respect y'all. Respect is a strong word. I don't disrespect y'all. But y'all taking up my seat. Y'all making me late to brunch because now the parking lot's super full.
Making me late to brunch.
There are virtual options now. Consider those.
Well, I agree with a lot of what Kellie had to say. I already know, especially Easter for sure. It's about to be a family reunion, about to see people I haven't seen in a minute. Because like you said, especially like we have older people at our church. So people's grandkids, great grandkids are coming. Like my sister doesn't attend my dad's church. They have another church they go to. But her kids are in the Easter play. Because of course my parents was like, oh no, they're gonna be in the Easter play, and they participate in the children's choir and
they don't even attend that church.
All the activities at the church, just as kids are there. So they will be there. And even like my mom was telling me, back in the day, we used to, as a family, pick a color. So if the color was lavender, all of my cousins and sisters and brothers, we all wore lavender. And so my mom was telling me, like, she had got, she told Alyssa, because her birthday was last week, she was going to get her Easter dress. But of course, if you get Alyssa an Easter dress, you got to get Layla and Ivy one as well, and Dawson. So I was like, well, what's the color? She was like, I haven't gone yet, but Macy's got some really nice Easter dresses. And, you know, so it's going to be a family reunion, not just for my family, but other people in the church. I do, you know, I understand the sentiments because the parking lot will be full. Thankfully, I be taking my daddy's spot or my mom's spot because they typically ride together. So I always have a spot, and I always got a spot in the church. You know, as PKs, we can really sit wherever we want. But I'm not gonna move somebody aside to sit where I want. I'll just sit wherever I feel like sitting. But typically the second row, like the whole row, is empty. It's my mother and maybe my aunts and uncles sit on it. And then we have other family members who sit in the following rows. But I always have a spot to sit in. So I'm not even tripping about that. I do feel like, even though it can be, annoying because it'd be more people than normal, and the parking lot does be full, I do feel like people who may not typically go to church every Sunday or even half the Sundays out the month, they're still getting the word. And maybe that's the small seed they need. Maybe that's the seed and somebody else will water it and somebody else will be the sun. Carrie, what is that, your Easter outfit?
Yeah. Y'all want to talk? Y'all want to talk about the Easter drip?
Not drip.
Easter outfit. So yeah, I think there's still space for them. I think it's still purposeful and meaningful that they come. And honestly, Christmas and Easter are probably the two good Sundays to come or services to come to, because we're really explaining the basis of Christianity, and why Jesus means so much to us and the sacrifice he made. So, come on. Now I am curious. Like you said, in the past, it's definitely been a hot Sunday for a lot of people to come, but we're now in this post-COVID tele-worshiping world. So I'm curious to see if it's going to be just as packed, or I'm even curious if, and I'll ask my dad, if there are more views on tele-worshiping than typical. Because even if there is an increase, as long as people are watching, that's a good thing too. Maybe they're not physically in there, but again, the word is getting to them some way, shape, or form, and maybe that'll draw them in. I don't know. I was also going to say, this used to happen at New Beginning. I haven't seen it really since New Beginning. I don't even know if New Beginning does it anymore. But Rudy, do you remember, especially like on Mother's Day, there would be like, who got the most kids?
Yeah, Bishop used to do it. Yeah, he'll pass out like $100 to the mother with the most children, the oldest mother, and the youngest.
My daddy does that.
Mm-hmm.
Don't reward that.
And so
he had the most children.
Yeah. And so you had to be in attendance, to get your money.
And where your kids? Had them stand up. How many you got in children's church? That's my daddy still does that. Mm-hmm.
This lady named Miss Pat, she won most kids literally every year. Like nobody.
How many kids
she had like 11 or 12, or it was something 15, something like that. Like nobody. She always got that little honey every time.
Yeah. So that was fun back in the day. And I don't know why I thought my mom was gonna get it when it was only two of us.
Don't reward somebody for being the Duggards. That's crazy.
What is
so
that?
It's really about the most.
The Duggards are the people who have that reality show. They're the Mormons who have like 15 children.
It's no problem having 15 children if you're able to care for your 15 children. One.
Can you imagine what the world would be like if everybody had 15 children?
Everybody not having 15 children. My body can't hold 15 children. Even in my 20s, it wasn't gonna hold no 15 children. So that's they're not holding 10. It's not holding 5. So boy, it's pushing it. That was back in my 20s. But I think the purpose of it was that, again, this big family Sunday, that you were able to bring your 11 kids, your 15 kids, all are here and worshiping together. I think that's a beautiful thing to celebrate.
And I think, even though we never won, I do think about, when my parents got married and had kids, it always blows my mind. I especially do this with my grandmother and my great grandmother. Jessica got 4 kids. My parents had 3 kids. From the 2 of them, they've had 7 offsprings. And if you go back to your grandparents and count all your cousins, like, it's really a blessing. And it's just sometimes wild to think about, like, 2 people came together, and from these 2 people, there's like 30 offsprings from them. So that's something, at least in the Black church, that I do it's a tradition. Like I said, I haven't really seen it that much anymore, but it was something that I always remembered about Mother's Day, Father's Day. They will always highlight, those type of people. But overall, yes, it's more people in church. Yes, the parking is a little bit more. Yes, the service is a little bit longer because, like Kellie said, the the dance ministry, they got to do the 20-minute song. There's going to be a reenactment of the book of or Matthew. The whole reenactment. You got the Easter play, you got the Easter speeches. You got the fashion show. I know our church moved away from it, but back in the day, for offering, you had to walk around, and I used to call it the fashion show. Of course, after church, and we still do this because everybody brings their family. They got to stand in front of the pulpit, and then the media ministry, they taking family pictures of everybody, and it's just a good time. I do appreciate some of the older traditions that we used to do, because I do feel like church has evolved, and some of the kids don't get the same thing we used to kind of get. So just get a little bit of that tradition is nice. I remember being back at New Beginning. Rudy, I don't know if you remember before they tore the walls down where the ushers sit in the back. We used to tear up the church during church service. But I mean, kids don't have that these days. So whatever little bit of tradition we can pass on, I'm here for it.
Yeah. Yeah. I have my conflictions like y'all. I mean, so I do get it. I mean, I guess one way to look at it is if people are coming to church who don't normally go to church and it's only these, 2 to 3 times out the year, you can look at that as, it's better than not at all. But then at the same time, it's kind of like, but if you're only coming those 3 days out of tradition or people pleasing meaning like, your mom wants you to go, whatever like that. I guess it just really just depends on like the result of it. Because like if you're kind of just doing, I mean, really, even people who just go to church every Sunday just out of tradition or just it just being something that you check off your list versus I'm going to church for this specific reason. I think it can be kind of ineffective because I know like with me, like when I first got to college, I would go to church every Sunday. And I imagine I'm playing college football, so like we got games and stuff on Saturday, and then we even got, we like most football teams, you do some type of practice that's that next day after the game. It'll be like running or whatever because it's a whole like scientific or medical thing, like getting lactic acid out your body from playing the game, whatever. So in the midst of even playing on Saturdays, having practice on Sunday afternoon, I would still go to church, but I really was doing it because I felt like I had to, because it was just something I've done every Sunday, my whole life, as opposed to not even realizing that when I'm there, I ain't paying attention. I'm half asleep. You know what I'm saying? I'm just not really in it. So I didn't necessarily benefit from just going just to go, but anytime that I went because I actually wanted to get something from church, there was a different effect. But like I said, but at the same time, some people can go and maybe end up having, just say a spiritual experience or whatever that causes them to no longer be CEOs or CMOs or CMEs rather, and start going, every Sunday. So there, I get it both ways. I'm definitely with you, Kellie. Like there was a point in time in my life that, especially like when I was attending like much larger churches, I would purposely not go to church on Easter and Mother's Day and all that because I don't feel like dealing with the headache. I don't feel like dealing with traffic. I don't feel like dealing with it being crowded. Or maybe I would even like if they had like an earlier service, I may go to the early service or something like that. But that main service, I'm not gonna do it.
The worst thing you can do, in my opinion, is go to church when you really don't want to, when it's a burden to you. But you're going because your mom wants you to go, or you're going because it's Christmas or it's Easter and you feel like you have to go. That's just paying lip service. That's just going, I'm going to make sure I can go so mom will be happy. And even though I really hate it or whatever, or I'm going to go on Christmas and Easter so that God won't send me to hell or what. I mean, it's just the worst thing. I would rather you come once every 5 years when you actually want to get something out of it than be there every week begrudgingly, like
Yeah.
spitefully.
No, I'm with you.
Hey y'all, sorry to interrupt, but we have a few church announcements. Follow us on Instagram at TheWorstOnesPK. New content coming soon. We also have a TikTok at TheWorstOnesPK. No content yet, but continue to check us out. If you want to, when you listen to our podcast, you can find us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever you find your podcast. Just make sure you type in The Worst Ones Podcast and you'll find us. And when you get there, make sure you like, you comment, you subscribe, and you share. Thank you to our 500,422 followers. We love you so much. Now, back to the show.
Even going down to like the especially on the Easter, like the fashion show. I don't have anything against people color coordinating per se, like as a family, because they want to take pictures or whatever like that. But everybody ain't necessarily color coordinating. Like some people, they want to be seen. You know what I'm saying? Even the people who be at church every Sunday, like they got their special suit for this particular Sunday, and the Easter suits be loud, like you said, 10-piece, but the colors be loud or whatever like that. And to me, I mean, certain traditions to me can kind of don't get the same scrutiny as, just say more non-traditional things. Like to me, when I was younger, we definitely would have, I don't know if it wouldn't be on that Sunday, but just say maybe like that Saturday, like the kids would do like Easter egg hunts. Well, us kids, I should say, would do like Easter egg hunts, stuff like that. Which to me, that should have received as much scrutiny as Bishop William Murphy swag surfing on New Year's Eve, because that ain't got nothing to do with Easter. Now, like I said, we did it, we enjoyed it. I get why you do it, but sometimes, just like Bishop William Murphy is trying to cater to a certain group by swag surfing and prove a point, like. They're trying to cater to the kids. Kids like candy, or kids want to paint, eggs and go find the eggs and stuff like that. But some of that type of stuff can kind of just get away from, what stuff really means. And then you kind of have an expectation or even kind of make the Easter bunny and the Easter eggs and the whatever synonymous with the real meaning, just say, of Resurrection Sunday, as the old folks might call it. And, all that stuff just can kind of get jumbled up. So like I have it's a double-edged sword for me. Like I get why people do certain things, even people who only show up on those certain days. But I don't know. I don't really know what the resolve is.
Well, not only that, it builds resentment. When you have to do anything that you don't actually want to do, it builds resentment over time for that activity, whatever it is.
But even for the people who might want to go on Mother's Day and Easter only, like I don't go to church, but I do go on Easter, I do go on Mother's Day, I do go on Christmas. Like it may not be necessarily like a thing they don't want to do. It may be something they actually want to do, but it is a I don't know. I just think there's a lot of fluff that has to happen around these days. Like Kellie was even talking about. Now we got to do a play and speeches and a special type of sermon. We have to do all of this as opposed to, like giving God a level of consistency versus, a sporadic thing, and not even so much just from the people attending, but even from just say us as the church itself. Like, one thing we always talk about our youth ministry. One thing I appreciated about the youth ministry I grew up in is we had an annual youth day, but every fourth Sunday was always Youth Sunday. You feel what I'm saying? So throughout the entire year, the youth is already accustomed to serving, ushering, singing, whatever the case may be, throughout the entire year. So it's not like, okay, all of a sudden all the youth are just going to show up for this one day during the summertime. This is just the more grander day. There's more festivities happening around this weekend, but we're also teaching y'all a level of consistency in how to serve throughout the year. And to me, the holiday traditional church goers or even the church presentations create a level of inconsistency that people may feel is sufficient when it may not be.
I think you bring up another good topic. In the past, I can't remember if we ever had I think we did. Did we have a conversation about like Hallelujah Night?
For Halloween,
yeah, because I hear what you're saying about Easter egg hunts and all of that, but I disagree. I think that like I said, this may be a topic for another day. I think it's different than the I see why you see similarities between the church doing Easter egg hunts for children and William Murphy playing secular music while they getting COVID shots or whatever they were doing.
No. I was talking about the watch night service, not the Meg Thee Stallion.
I was like, to me that
no, not the Meg Thee Stallion thing. Why they was pulling through. I'm talking about him having that part of his sermon, the swag surfing.
Oh, okay.
Whatever. Okay. Yeah.
Well, okay. So I went to they getting COVID shots and he playing.
First of all, they weren't even getting COVID shots. That they just was coming by because the church was closed, so they was just coming by saying, "Hey," basically.
Why?
I don't know.
Oh, I think they were getting COVID shots.
No.
Whatever they were doing that day. But okay, but yes. So I do see your similarities there in terms of the swag surfing. But I don't think, and again, I can't remember what we exactly said about Hallelujah Night, but I don't disagree with the church catering to kids. I think it's important, again, on that Easter Sunday with all the kids going to show up, to let them know what the true meaning of Easter is and Resurrection Sunday and, Jesus rose from the dead and, in their language, in their developmental levels, making sure that they understand. But I also don't feel like, have the egg hunts. Let the children come to church on a Saturday, because to me, I want that to be the norm as well. I love when people ask me about my childhood. One of the biggest things I remember is church. And of course, my dad was the youth pastor, so that was one. But I also feel like our church catered to children and youth. And so we made sure that there were events for children and youth. And whether they were just pure lock-ins, lock-out, movie night, those things that may be appropriate or acceptable in people's eyes, or if they were alternatives to secular events or activities or days. To me, anytime you can target children and get them in church, I don't find anything wrong with that. Again, I definitely say let's make sure that we balance it with this is the real meaning of Easter. We're gonna go and look for Easter eggs and you're gonna get candy for fun, but that has nothing to do with, well, it does have something to do with Easter. It has not really to do with Resurrection Sunday, resurrection. But and let them know both parts. But I don't mind. Just like I don't think there's an issue with the kids wanting to dress up for Halloween and we have Hallelujah Night, and so they wear their costumes and they get candy at the church. Again, those are some of the things that I remember growing up, and things that even without a pastor for a father, that parents take their children to. Because guess what? 50, 60, 70% of those parents, if they don't have those alternatives at church, they're going to allow their children to dress up and go trick-or-treating. Or they're going to have, Easter egg hunts at the house. And so why not do it?
Unless their parent name is Larnell.
Again, but the reason why we're here is because we're all from, these spiritual, more religious families.
Right.
And so versus the typical,
Right.
Christian household where they're going to do some of these alternative things for their kids. And so, hey, instead of you going out into, like, even I have a very family friendly community, and so we had Santa Claus come through, we have Easter egg hunts, we had a Halloween party, we did all of that, and it's good, safe, fun here in the community. But if the church offers that alternative, parents are going, because that's the part of just growing up. So my thing is, take them to church to do those things, but also know that they're going to get that balance of, hey, we're going to talk about Jesus in the tomb, and and we're going to watch the little VeggieTales or whatever they do these
Right.
days.
Take them if they want to go. The worst thing, in my opinion, is somebody who was forced to go all the time, 4 times a week. You take a kid to church even though they really don't want to go for whatever reason this day or that day. You're just building resentment in them. You're making them hate it. So then when they become adults and they have the freedom, they never want to go.
And I think it's both ways. I think that
if the church makes it fun, like you said, Kelly, if they make it fun, it's a fun thing, and the kid wants to go, I'm all for it. Absolutely. But you're making them hate every time and now you've associated it with a negative memory that's going to stick with that kid for a long, long time.
And I definitely understand where you're coming from, and I agree with you. And when I have kids, something that's important for me is going to be a good children and youth ministry, for sure. Like, that is top on my value list. But also, Black mothers sometimes don't care what you want to do.
My parents didn't care what I wanted to
okay.
do.
Parents don't care then. Okay. So parents don't, I can only speak because I only got a Black mama. Parents don't care what it is that you want to do. I don't care that you don't want to go to church. Guess what? You're going to church today. Right. And where I agree with you, that it does build resentment. And when I turn 18, 19, and I get out the house, I'm not going to go anymore, and, or whatever. But there's also, I never made you go. And so you're not going to go at 18, 19 either. But guess what? From 8 months to 18, your behind was in church 3 to 4 Sundays a month, Yeah. And so what you decide to do beyond that is on you, between you and your God. But as for me in my house, you gonna go to church every Sunday.
That's right. And I too had a Black mom. She just happened to be white, because we're from Memphis, and I think, I've said this before, anyway, but yeah, but again, if you really want your kid to be involved in church when they become an adult, I just work as hard as you can to associate church with positive memories, not negative ones.
I agree. But guess what happens with positive memories too? Church will never be as I don't know what the word is, lit as it was in youth ministry. I can't recreate the times that I had, 6th through 12th grade. I can't get those times back. So sometimes it's too much fun. And then now I got to sit in big church and listen to a sermon, and I don't get and we not
exactly.
And I don't want to do that no more either, So I think it's a balance to it.
As you grow, your needs and wants should grow too. You don't need, my youth service had clowns and games and this and that. I wouldn't want that when I was 20, I'd want somebody to tell me something intelligent or make me think or feel or something like that. Your needs grow as they grow. But I'm just saying, if you create these subconscious memories, you have to make them positive ones. Even if sometimes it means giving up on that particular thing, like pick your battles. If the kid's not feeling good today, all right, you know what? If you're not feeling it, I'm not going to make you go, just because I don't want to make it a punishment for you.
And I agree with that too.
Two things. One, in reference to the whole making your kids go to church and resentment thing. I mean, without me even being a parent, I just know that's a part of parenting. And I'm saying making your kids do things that they don't want to do. I mean, your parents make you eat vegetables that you don't want to eat. They make you, read books or whatever else. Like, because of the fact whether they know the scripture or not, train up a child in the way they should go, and when they grow old, they won't depart from it. you all you can really do as a parent is build a foundation in the child, and then as they become an adult, they can make their own decisions. And it is important for them to have positive memories attached to these things that you force them to do. But a kid may not want to do. They may prefer Skittles over green beans. You know what I'm saying? But as the parent, you're going to say no, eat the green beans. You know what I'm saying? And so if whatever faith that you practice or follow or believe in, in instilling that in the child and building a level of consistency in the child, especially if it can be attached to good memories, that's just foundational stuff. And if they decide to do something else, that's on them as they grow up, but they still will have those foundational things. So I'm saying it to say being forced to go to church isn't necessarily because all of us on here were forced to go to church, and there's only one CEO out of the four of us. So I think percentage wise, we're doing pretty good as far as resentment wise. But also too, Kelly, going back to what you were saying in reference to the alternatives. I think one of the great things about what your dad did was creating alternatives versus like with the whole like Easter egg hunt thing to me. And I don't know what y'all did with that, but I'm saying even for us, that was one of the few things to me that wasn't an alternative. That was just a direct tradition from what everybody else does. Like Hallelujah Night is an alternative. We're going to give you the candy, whatever like that, but we're still bringing you here to church, giving you a version of what's out there, but this is our version. The Easter egg hunts, speaking for my experience only, because I don't know what nobody else did. Our Easter egg hunts was no different than the Easter egg hunt that was going on in my neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like, we was walking around with a resurrected Jesus looking for, I'm coming to you in Janessa, you know what I'm saying? Like and looking for that, like it was
we're trying to find Jesus. Which egg got Jesus?
Right.
He's
right.
He's not in the egg no more.
Right. It was bunnies. It was the regular. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't nothing that was different. So I guess I'm just more or less speaking to. I don't know if I necessarily have a problem with an alternative, but when it's spot on and you're trying to then match that with, well, this is the real reason, but you can also, do this. I think it being an alternative is important versus it being the exact thing and then trying to mix two. Go ahead.
Well, here's a good.
But I think one thing, but what I respect about you, Rudy, is that you're consistent. So this is the same thing about the Easter Bunny and Easter. It's the same thing you feel about Santa Claus and Christmas.
Correct.
And so I do appreciate your consistency, Grinch, and whatever the opposite of the Easter Bunny is. Right.
Yeah. Now, just for positivity's sake, here's something that I heard somebody did. They always went to church as a family, but their kids started getting over it, and so they basically said, we're going to make Sunday, the whole day, kind of like a little event. Like first we're going to go to church, and then we're going to go to lunch after church. And guess what? Every Sunday, they didn't say it was because he was going to church, right? They didn't make it like a reward for going to church. But what they did was they said, you know what? Every Sunday, we're going to go out for lunch. And every Sunday, you get to pick the restaurant. But again, they didn't tell him it was a reward for going to church, but they associated Sundays and this, this structure in their life. They associated it with a good memory. And that person today literally is like an associate pastor. Because again, subconsciously, without even realizing, he's like, oh, I get to have the one thing that I want, which is to go. It was always McDonald's for some reason. But we always get to go to McDonald's because of this. And then he associated that with Sundays and church and everything else. And then just, it helped shape and direct his life. That's all I was saying. Is just try to find a good way to do it.
And I think that's a good parenting strategy, period. Yeah. Again,
I thought it was brilliant. That's why I brought it up.
I don't think I don't think everything has to be, and I feel like this in teachers in school, but it's another thing, that everything has to be a consequence or a reward. You know, sometimes it's just
Everything's a characteristic.
yeah, some things is just this is just what happens.
Yeah.
We go to church and we go to lunch. This is just what happens. If you don't go to church, it doesn't mean, you know, we don't go to lunch or, you know, or whatever, but this is just what happens. So I get what you're saying. I'm sorry, Janessa,
Yeah.
you've been trying to talk for a while.
No, you're good. So, you know, I'm kind of in this phase of kind of unlearning and relearning some things. And my aunt, she is the hostess with the mostest. She's the best. And so growing up, we had Valentine's Day baskets, Easter baskets, St. Patrick's Day basket, you know, whatever the holiday is, we always had something. And, you know, when I was thinking about it, I never correlated the Easter basket with like an Easter bunny because I don't know, because we were just super churchy. I always correlated the Easter basket with church. Like you get the Easter basket after you go through church and you participate in the Easter program and all these things like that. And now that I'm the aunt, and I really do take a lot from what my aunt taught me, you know, now I'm not quite like her because I have a lot of nieces and nephews, even beyond my sister's kids. I also consider like my first cousin's kids, my kids, because we see each other as sister and brother. And so I can't get them all Easter baskets because that's just too much. But, you know, we do have an Easter egg hunt that I put on. And I do sometimes feel conflicted about it because I'm like, what does this Easter egg hunt have to do with Jesus? But I will say my mother, because she is super churchy, a few years ago, she incorporated, and I'm going to show y'all, it's on Amazon. They're called resurrection eggs. Okay. And inside the resurrection eggs, they're like crosses and things associated with the resurrection. And so one thing that I've been trying to do, like we're not having Easter egg hunt on Sunday because it's a lot going on in our family. So we're doing Easter dinner next Sunday. And we're going to have the Easter egg hunt. And so some of the eggs will have candy in them, but then some of the eggs going to be these resurrection eggs from Amazon. And like even for Christmas and even for Easter outside of church, we have like a family Bible study. And it's very clear what we're doing. And so that's one way, Rudy, that we try to do our own, like a Christian version is not about the Easter bunny. It's not only about candy. You're going to get these resurrection eggs. Okay. And there's going to be a Bible study before we do the resurrection egg hunt. But I do remember growing up in the church and going to Easter egg hunts. As the auntie now, I'm not boiling no eggs and I'm not tie-dyeing nothing. But if I can try to incorporate Jesus into the Easter egg hunt, and I'm glad my mom did, you know, point me to these resurrection eggs. It's become a tradition in our family. And so, you know, the kids enjoy the hunt, the search, but they also understand what we're doing. I'm still not 100% sure if this is like the right thing to do, but I do feel a little bit more comfortable knowing that it's not just about bunnies and candy, but y'all gonna get some Jesus in it as well. So
why not just do both and just say, oh, who's the Easter bunny? It's just a magic bunny that gets super excited about Jesus's resurrection, so he gives kids candy. Boom,
in our family,
done.
the Easter bunny does not even exist.
I
Okay,
mean,
I'm just saying, like, why does it have to be two separate things?
The Easter bunny never existed for us. Yeah, for me even like I said, Easter egg hunts and all of those things. My dad, and I can't remember off the top of my head, but my dad is a little churchy like your mother, and he gonna put some. You got to remember a memory verse about something. He probably had some memory verses in the eggs along with like he gonna make it something Jesus related.
Right.
You know, we gonna pray us in. We're gonna have Bible study or something beforehand. You know, everybody gonna. My dad is really good or really big on like, somebody need to pray, somebody need to sing a song, somebody like we doing a little worship service. You know, even for the 3-4 year olds, like we doing something. So he was really good about that. I'm gonna have to tell him. I don't know if he know about these resurrection eggs.
Resurrection eggs, girl.
Tell him about that. I may need to call him. I
Got
may
a
need
little
to call
booklet
him.
that goes through, what happened Good Friday, all of it.
I may need to call him today. Make sure he can get them ordered by Saturday.
But isn't any
Amazon got them, girl.
isn't the kid? I mean, gonna eventually be like, yo, what's with the eggs?
I don't know. And I will say one thing I do for my older niece, and maybe I'll do it this year. Because like at this point, Layla's 16. But I asked her if she wanted to do it. She said yes. So for her, I don't do candy. I do like riddles. So maybe I'll try to incorporate some Bible scriptures. So it's like the riddle will take you to the next location.
Like
And then the next location. And at the end, I gave her like $5. But maybe I'll put a Bible in it this year. We'll see.
I just mean, like, how do you take part of the secular thing, which is the Easter Bunny, and then try to like take that and turn it into the Christian
The same way we
versions?
do Hallelujah Night.
You said the same way you do what?
Hallelujah Night.
Oh.
Oh.
I remember.
Well, I mean, to me, it just sounds like saying, Christmas is about Jesus's birth, but there's also Santa's also his buddy, that comes around. It's exciting.
But Rudy, I don't know if you remember for Hallelujah Night, we would dress up like as Mary and Martha and the 12 disciples, and we would have.
I didn't get to dress up as anything. I was in my regular clothes. I wore to school that day.
Oh no! I remember New Beginnings Hallelujah Night, definitely dressing up as.
I know people dressed up. I'm saying, me specifically,
I mean, we dressed up as biblical characters. We didn't come in as Batman or whatever.
Right.
Risa, I probably won't remember. So when you watch this, I wonder for your children. We know Rudy's thoughts on things, but I wonder for your children, Risa, will you allow them to go to Hallelujah Night? Will you allow them to do Easter egg hunt?
Risa kids going traditional trick or treating. They going door to door, dressed up as
with their costume, the biggest candy bag.
Absolutely.
You're right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What, are they going Easter egg hunting?
Risa putting on the Easter egg hunt. They're not gonna be resurrection eggs either. It's gonna be take pictures with the bunny. Here you go.
I'm not boiling eggs either. No kid wants boiled eggs. What kid wants a hard boiled egg as a treat?
At my big age, I actually like the protein.
I like.
Well, yeah, but you're not a kid.
I enjoy boiled eggs as a kid. I used to boil eggs and season them and eat them as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And just for the record, I want to say, like, at New Beginning, before Janessa, then you can do your jewels after this. But at New Beginning, they never had like a Easter bunny show up during the Easter egg hunt. But I've definitely been to other churches, like with neighbors and stuff like that, who had the Easter egg hunt and the Easter bunny, whatever like that. So I definitely had an association with the two. And once again, to me, I have a little bit more respect for the alternative. Even though the alternative can be walking a thin line that I won't get into right now, but the spot on to me, I think is the worst. Like if you gonna try to change it up a little bit, do a resurrection egg, okay, I can see where you're going with this. But if it's flat out Easter egg, it's flat out bunny ears, it's flat out whatever, to me, I'm not, I wouldn't go that path, but nonetheless. All right. Janessa, you got your jewels?
I do.
All righty. Let's do it.
So this jewel is a little long-winded, but I'm going to really try to condense it. But this week's jewel is trust and submit to God's timing. And that could be everything from relationships, children, career, education, entrepreneurship, everything. But God has definitely been working on me in this area. And most recently, it has been with my cat adoption. And so I kind of want to share this testimony. Like I said, it's a little long-winded, but I'm going to try to condense it down as short as I can. So essentially, me and my sister wanted a dog when we were little. We wanted that Christmas Day, the puppy, under the Christmas tree. And long story short, it never happened. My grandmother was living with us at the time. She wasn't really big into animals. My mom wasn't big into animals. And then my dad told us the fence in the backyard needed to be fixed before we could get an animal. And we just never got it. And so, of course, I got over it. And in 2013, we got Caesar at 8 weeks. He's our German Shepherd that we still have today. But 2013, you know, I was like in my 20s and I was in college, but I was living at home. So I did get to experience, you know, the whole puppy growing up with the dog. And if you follow me on Instagram, you know, I post Caesar all the time. I love him to pieces. So when I moved out of my parents' house a few years ago, I wanted to get a pet, but I knew I did not necessarily want a dog because it's a lot of work. Even now, if my parents go out of town, I'm at my parents' house keeping the dog, and between the four of us, it still can be a lot. And so I knew I wanted to get a pet, but I didn't want to get the dog. And so, you know, at this point, Caesar's 11. He's in good health, but he's not going to live forever. I think German Shepherds can live anywhere between 10 and 15 years. So at some point, Caesar's not going to be here with us. And at one point, my dad wanted to breed him and keep one of the puppies. So whenever Caesar did pass away, they would have another puppy that came from Caesar. But my mom was really like, nah. And I understand they're in their mid 60s. A dog's a lot of work. And so at this point, as of today, once Caesar passes away, that's it for pets. And so, you know, I wanted to get a cat. I've been talking about the cat for a while, but I never pulled the trigger. And so I've been talking about this cat for a while, to the point, and I even brought my little props. For Valentine's Day this year, one of my friends gave me this card. I wanted to name the cat Beverly Maxine. For my birthday, another friend got me this card and named the cat Beverly Maxine. And this is actually what I wanted the cat to look like. But I still never pulled the trigger. And so my sister, I got to give Jessica a shout out. She's my biggest supporter. Anything I say I want to do, she's literally the first person who is on board and supporting me. One time I said I wanted to learn how to play the piano. She bought me a keyboard. So I've been talking about this cat for my birthday this year, because y'all know it wasn't the best birthday, but she bought me a bunch of cat stuff. And so I was like, all right, Janessa, now's the time. So I started looking up shelters, and I was going to go visit a few. Went to go visit one, and I saw this cat that I just fell in love with. It was a boy cat named Bubs. Remember, I wanted Beverly Maxine. I wanted this girl cat. And so the lady was telling me to go ahead, fill out the application. It's non-binding, because they had to do a home visit. I had to do an interview. It was like other steps before you could adopt the cat. And that way I would get on the list first, or earlier, sooner than later. So I went to visit the cat last Tuesday. I put in an application with all intentions of looking at other cats. So I'm looking at other cats online, and I was looking at the profile for the cat I had saw on Tuesday, and I couldn't find it. So I called the organization. I was like, hey, is this cat still available? They went to go check, and they were like, oh, he's not here. He must have been adopted. And I was devastated. So I texted my sister. I was like, girl, he's adopted. I don't want to look for any more cats unless I know I could get it. And she was like, yeah, well, have you had your home visit? I was like, no. She was like, once you get the interview and home visit, maybe it'll go faster. So the very next day, on Thursday, I had my interview with the adoption counselor. And she was like, hey, were you still interested in Bubs? And I was like, yeah, but they told me he was adopted. She was like, oh, no, he had to go to medical because, you know, they neuter the cats. They give them the vaccinations. They microchip the cats. And she was like, yeah, if you want him, you can have him. You just won't be able to pick him up until the following week. So I was like, yeah, reserve him for me. And I asked her about some other cats I saw on the website, and she told me a couple of them were at that location. So I set up a visit on last Friday, to go visit Bubs and the other cats. So when I'm there, they were really pressing me to adopt a cat that day. They were like, if you want one, just bring a pet carrier and you're good to go. And I was like, I visited them, but I still wanted Bubs. So I told them that, and they were like, well, you can have him. You just can't get him till next Friday. So I was like, okay, cool. Well, I'm thinking, okay, we got over this hump. I thought he was adopted. He's not. I can get him. Well, now, I don't know if I told you guys, but I'm currently renting my house. I have an opportunity to buy my house, hopefully later this year. So we'll save that testimony for another day. Mm-hmm. But my lease says that I can't have pets.
Mm.
And so I'm like devastated because like I done fell in love with this cat. I thought I lost the cat, then I got the cat. And so I was talking to my therapist because, as you guys know, I've been doing therapy. I'm on this healing journey. And so I'm telling her about the cat, and she was like, oh, well, you're definitely a candidate for an emotional support animal. And I can write you an emotional support animal letter that you can give to your landlord. So I talked to my landlord about it, and she was like, oh, yeah, if you have the letter, then you're good. Because what it does is you don't have to pay pet rent. You don't have to pay a pet deposit. There's no limitations on the animal you have, like the breed or the size or anything like that. And I had no idea about this. So the lady writes me, my therapist writes me a letter. I send it to my landlord. She's like, oh, you're good to go. You can get the cat. So I'm like, oh my gosh. And for me, it was just a big aha moment. Because at first I was kind of like thinking, okay, I don't have to tell nobody that I'm going to get the cat. I was just going to get it. But I didn't feel comfortable, kind of plotting and scheming, trying to get this cat not in the right way. Mm-hmm. And because I kind of went with God's timing on it, everything just kind of worked out. But not only did it work out, it also showed me that all things are working together for my good. Romans 8:28 says, and we know all things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are called according to his purpose. And I was talking to my sister about it, and we were kind of laughing about it. We can laugh at it now. If y'all would have asked me a couple of months ago, we couldn't have laughed about it. But I've gone through a lot, especially over the past couple of years. And I'm going to be honest, a lot of it has been stuff that I've done. God told me not to be in that relationship, or he told me to leave that relationship, and I stayed longer than I should have. Mm-hmm. So I went through a lot of heartache and heartbreaks that God never intended me to do. But even in the midst of that, because of where I am now, I'm intentionally trying to do things his way, in his timing, in his will. God is still working things out. And it's not funny, but because I did go through so much, I was a candidate for an emotional support animal. And so now, where I'm thinking I couldn't get a cat, literally, like, it just fell in my lap. I didn't have to do anything extra. I didn't have to finesse, plot, and scheme nothing. Like, everything's on the up and up. And so I really want to encourage you, and it really encouraged me, because it helped me see that me getting this cat has been like 30-something years in the making. And it has helped me see that God really has the best for you if we wait on him and wait in his timing. And so now I have a little bit more encouragement when it comes to that relationship, when it comes to that career, when it comes to kids, that I thought I would have had all of this stuff years ago, but there's still a purpose and a plan for all of it. But you have to learn how to submit and trust. You can't just trust. You got to submit and trust God's timing on things. And so I'm really like, I don't know if it's coming across the screen how excited I am about this cat, but it just means so much to me. And it helped not only just getting the cat, but how much it means to me in terms of my future, in terms of the things that I'm still hoping and praying for. So I know this was a very long-winded story. I'm sure y'all don't even care about me and this cat, but I want to encourage everybody to submit and trust God's timing. He's lining it up for us. And if we are doing everything according to God's will, and we are doing what he's asking us to do, he has a life for us that is beyond what we can imagine, what we can think. It will be full of happiness. Stop trying to do stuff in your own time. Stop trying to make stuff happen in your own will. Trust God, and that's it.
Amen.
Well, Janessa's going to be a preacher. She don't even know it.
No.
This must be some cat,
No.
This must be some like magic cat.
In 3 beds, because y'all just don't understand the testimony behind it.
Everything that you've been through got you to be able to be qualified for this blessing.
Qualified for the cat. Yeah. Even in the midst of me not doing right, God was still working it out for me.
Yeah, that hit me right there. Everything that you've been through is what qualified you to get the support.
Because I didn't understand y'all know I'm a nice person. Why did I have to go through all of this? Like, why is it me? And to get this cat to be, it's silly. It might sound simple, but everything I've been through literally qualified me to get this cat. And not even just the bad stuff. I mean, just the experience with our family dog, I feel like has prepared me to take care of an animal, because I've never had an animal. I mean, the only animals we had before that were fish, so everything it's been preparation. And so when I think about, I was telling my dad the other day, doesn't God see me struggling on my job? Like, isn't he gonna make a way? But I, at this point, believe the struggle is for something. And now that don't mean that work is easier, don't mean that my days are happier, but I do believe that the struggle is for something bigger down the line. And so I just got to keep holding on. Very churchy, but keep holding on.
No, that was good. Amen. Them jewels always come through.
Wow.
Always.
Amen.
Always.
All right. Kellie Lee.
I don't know what else to tell y'all. Sales 51. It's private.
I'm gonna challenge you, Kellie, to find one person that you can accept their request. Just one by next week. I don't care how long they've been sitting in there. Just go through there, examine their pages, and just be like, boom, I'll let you in there. You ain't gotta come off private, just accept somebody.
Okay, I got you.
There you go.
I do it every like 3 to 4 months, but I do it this week.
Yeah, all right.
You can find me at JRihanna_. We have fun over there, and you can absolutely believe that. Oh, Theodore, I think I told you his name is Bubs, but I'm changing it to Theodore Remington Rowland. He will have his own Instagram page. Y'all make sure you follow him, because we're going to be having a time over here, okay?
He's coming from having a street name to a bougie name. We're coming from Bubs. Bubs
and Theodore Remington Rowland. And the crazy thing is, I like the name Theodore just because I like the name. When I looked it up to see what the meaning of Theodore was, it was a gift from God. And I said,
all right. Look at that.
I said, look at God. A gift from God.
Yeah, you ought to be careful with the name changing thing, because my wife did that with her cat, and attitude. I used to tell a joke about it on stage where I was like, you should see this cat. You try to call it, you try to give it treats, you try to do everything, but it's like that scene from Roots, with LeVar Burton. Every time you try to come here, Mo. She's like, my name is Mittens. Like she does it. She does it every. She just did it right now. When I said Mittens, she popped up. Like, you can't. Sometimes if it gets in them.
Caesar is the most Christian dog y'all will ever know. When I say my dad be making Caesar pray over his food before he eats, Theodore, I've already been praying for him, so he'll be all right. Okay.
Well, it's a good thing you're not Catholic, because for a dog, given the sign of the cross is going to be pretty difficult.
I don't know. Caesar is the most Christian dog y'all will ever meet.
Let them know where they can hear more Roots jokes, Terry.
All right. It's at Terry Wayne Comedy on all social media platforms, if you would like to be offended in a biblical way. You can also check out my book on Amazon, Unclaimed Ashes. And that's it. I think I've done enough damage. It's a good joke. I don't care what you say.
Shout out our producer at Risa_G.
And Lil Reese.
Who has no respect for nobody. All right, man.
Certainly not for Hallelujah night.
This has been great. Shout out to all y'all who continue to follow and support us. Please share this episode with at least 5 people that you know. Like, comment, subscribe. And until next time, we are the Worst Ones. Yeah.
Top of the world.